I mean, do you ever get the full true story on certain situations like that? And of course, they were trying to keep that on the hush. I knew that, Chris Sims, duh. Come on, dog. I knew that myself. Of course, they're trying to keep it on the hush, dog. Come on, man. Y'all preaching to the choir. You ain't saying nothing. Like we know how certain things aren't exposed. This ain't nothing new, dog. You preaching to the choir, homie. What are you talking about for real, Chris? Come on, Chris.
Is right, but think about it. You've got a bunch of different reporters from competing publications that are all trying to get most favored nation status. There's a certain amount of ass kissing that is going to happen. There are limits.
Oh, okay. I heard him on that one, though. Scolded, what up, Scolded? What up, Scolded? See, I don't know why they just didn't lead this way from the jump. Instead of make this long video, why ain't you attack like this? Now you talking, Florio. Talk about it then, Florio. Talk about it then, Florio. Let's go.
It's to how far you're going to push it. Otherwise, you're
let's go.
Different reporters from competing publications that are all trying to get most favored nation status. There is a certain amount of ass kissing that is going to happen. There are limits to how far you're going to push.
Ass kiss, brown nose, and okay, Florio. Let's get to the facts. Then, if you know the facts, let's get to it.
Push it. Otherwise, you're not getting the sit down with the coach. You're not getting access to this player. You've just got to work harder. You know, they're going to give you resistance. They're going to make it more difficult. Well, you need to be here 10 minutes early, or, oh, sorry, we're out of time. I mean, there's all sorts of little ways that they can treat someone who plays ball well and treat someone who doesn't play ball not as well. And that.
There you go. He's talking about the game. You hear me? He's talking about the game. But Florio, are you an ass kisser too, Florio? Yeah, are you an ass kisser as well, Florio? Delta investing in the building. Delta investing in the building. Scolding in the building. What up, man? Scolding in the building. Hey, that's what I'm saying. Delta and Florio, aren't you? So aren't you an ass kisser as well, Florio? Whose ass are you kissing right now, Florio? Let me know, Florio. Whose ass are you kissing, Florio? Let me know, big dog.
That just goes into the overall stew. How much of a pain in the ass do you want your life to be? And that's what causes the combination of, I don't want to look like I was lazy or I had my head up my ass on one hand. And on the other hand, I don't want to say or do anything that's going to get the Vikings PR staff to call me up and yell at me for saying something that doesn't reflect the party line. These are real dynamics.
Like I said, it's about saving face, man. Saving face. Being politically correct, man, is still some form of game. NFL business, dog. You hear me? Game. You hear me? That's why you see certain people in certain situations. You hear me? Talk about a game, dog. Talk about a game, huh? But look, just like he said, I would have respected Florio more. He would have just came with it like this, got to the point, instead of trying to change his whole story. Talk about the ass kissings. Talk about the competitive, secretly competing with you, dog. Favoritism, brown nosing, certain people in certain positions. Talk about it, Florio. But you ass kiss too, Florio, huh? You in a certain position, giving false fake news too, Florio. So what it really is, huh? What it really is, dog. I know what's up, dog. I know what's up. You hear me? You hear me? Straight up, Florio. I know what's up. I know. I peep game. You hear me? I peep game. You hear me? Yeah. You may bamboozle them. Can't bamboozle me. You may bamboozle them. You hear me? Can't bamboozle me. I'm talking about you, Vikings media, all media. Once again, you, Vikings media, all media. You hear me? Yeah, I know what's up, Florio. Heavy, dog. You hear me? It's just one situation. One situation. You hear me? Yeah. But yeah, talk about the game, Florio. Talk about the game, though. Yeah. Since I'm sure you know about the Minnesota Vikings, beat writers, this and that. You know how the game works. Talk about this, Florio. Respect you more coming here with it. But why you start from jump? Why don't you start with that from jump, homie? You hear me? You change the story, then come back to tell the same story again. You kidding me? That's how we rock, and that's what we doing here. Yeah, you change the story, try to butter it up to come back and go in again on the Vikings news team. How they were lazy, slow, missed the story, missed the Malik Neighbors story if it was a story. You hear me? Then you come back to you saying the same thing you said last video. So what's up, Florio? What you stand on? What you stand on, dog? You hear me? But we know you ass kiss too. We know you do some ass kissing too, Florio. 1,000. You hear me? 1,000 heavy. Yeah, big SKOL here. SKOL Vikes win, lose, or draw. But yeah, we know the business. As far as the Minnesota Vikings media and stuff like that, we know what goes on. It goes on everywhere. You hear me? Yeah. You hear me? Florio been capping this whole. Now he going back. He been capping the whole interview, dog, making no common sense. But he spoke on common sense. Common sense to tell you, damn, if the Vikings would have traded for neighbors, they would have been trading Jettas. You hear me? Period. Bottom line, dog. Yay. This up, man. Shit.
Dynamics, even though these people aren't employed directly by the team, you're kind of captive when you're working that beat. There's just a certain etiquette to it. There's a game you have to play, and they're playing it now by act.
Okay, here we go. Talk about the game then, Florio. Talk about the game then, Florio.
Acting like it was never a consideration. There was never anything to it. The beat writers and the people who cover the team are playing the game of nothing to see here, when the reality is there was something to see, and they had to make the decision that they were going to pay him. And before they made that decision, they sat back and waited to see what might happen. And then too many people have heard that they mobilized to try to move up to get Malik Neighbors, to ignore that as a very real possibility.
Yeah, I mean, again, you said it right. Logically, I mean, again, first off, you're running an organization. It's not crazy thoughts for them to have, or
no one said it's crazy thoughts for them to have. Like I said in the last live, that makes logical sense. But the whole thing is Chris Sims and Florio. It's the fact that they're trying to lie about it, what you guys saying, or the Vikings media trying to hide it, keep it on the hush. That's the whole point, you know. I'm not saying it was a problem if they did try to trade for Neighbors, though. They couldn't get the deal done. You hear me? Fans like me ain't never said it was a problem. But the problem is you put out a false story if it's really incorrect. That's the problem, though. Trying to cause drama around Minnesota Nation, though.
Or think about, wait, should we not sign a guy to $35 million and get a guy that we can get for $7 million a year and, build the rest of our football team? Can be a little exasperated by the contract situation. The biggest thing, whether it's hey, we've heard from people, they tried to get up to 5 and Neighbors was the guy. But the other, I mean, the big smoking gun, and you alluded to it earlier, is really the fact that, as you heard, there was no legit contract talks or anything like that till after the draft, which would tell you again that they were like leaving all options open. And okay, most options closed, boom, boom, boom.
And it wouldn't be a problem if they were leaving all options open. Like, what would be the problem? What would be the issue unless you're a sissy, duh? I'm sure Jettas understand that, or he should understand that. If he didn't want to agree to a deal, the Vikings should leave all options open. Once again, that's not the point, dog. Trying to, like you're saying the same thing. Like, what are you talking about? It would be no problems if they left the options open, dog. The issue was the story that was created. They're saying they had their mind made up. They really wanted Neighbors, dog. They wanted Jettas up out of there because they couldn't get the deal done, which has been a situation the whole time, homie. Like, what are we saying here?
It's our guy. We got to do it. Let's make a deal. Let's try to get this done. I mean, those are two things that are pretty strong that can lead you to logically conclude that, they were, leaving all possibilities available for their organization.
And some point to the fact that they came close to getting a deal done last September as evidence it's a no-brainer they were going to get a deal done. You could just as easily look at that and say that's evidence they weren't going to get a deal done, because that was the time to do it. And there was some fundamental impasse that kept it from happening.
Fundamental. It was the money, dog. It was the money that kept it from happening. It was the money that kept it from happening, homie. It was the money that kept it from happening, homie. Period. Bottom line. It was nothing else. It was the money to Guapino. Jettas wanted more than 30 mil. Jettas wanted more than 30 mil, homie. You hear me? That's all it was, Florio. So, period. Bottom line, man. How much longer for this interview, man? Man, yeah, man. Like, we know what's up. We know why it didn't happen, huh?
And now we're a year later and the market has changed and the cap has gone up and it's going to only be harder. You know, they were putting out this idea. Can you believe he rejected 30 million per year? Well, guess what? He won.
He was right.
Now he got 35.
Yeah.
He was right. You should have said yes to whatever he wanted in September. You should have said yes. Maybe he wouldn't have missed 9 games or however many he missed with that hamstring. He would have come back and played before it was 100% because he had his financial security.
Right.
Maybe he would have made the playoffs last year if he'd have been back for more games than he was back for, because you were too stubborn to give him what he wanted then. And you finally realized when you were backed into a corner, we better give him what he wants, even if we have to give him more than what he wanted in September.
Yeah. Well, and you know, here's the point I was going to.
What are you talking about, Florio? They tried to give him 30 mil. He said no, dog. What are you talking about? Give him what he wants back then. Oh my goodness, bro. Like these guys changing the whole story, bro. Like he didn't want 30 mil in the offseason, bro. It's obvious. It's obviously that's why, bro. He didn't accept the 30 mil. Period, bottom line. Why didn't they give him what he wanted then? They probably didn't think they would have it then, huh? They didn't have it then, you hear me? He didn't want to sign then, dog. You hear me? You can't sign a guy if you don't want to sign. What are you talking about? Come on, man. Are you kidding me, bro? Like their stories are back and forth. They're making sense, not making sense. Making sense, not making sense. Like, Florio, I don't know if you're capping or what, dog. But who cares if the Vikings left all options on the table? That would not be a problem. Period, bottom line. That would in no form or fashion be a problem if they were leaving all options open, homie. Man, let's get this over with. This here, boy.
Gonna make before I forgot in my cloud of smoke in my brain and me getting old here is that, you know, again, like you don't, and you know, and we know because we hear from people like this all the time. You don't think other teams know people in Justin Jefferson's camp or maybe even other people in the Vikings organization to know, like, wait, their contract talks are not very far down the road. There's something going on here. I mean, really, everybody out there, like, you don't think like Justin Jefferson's agent might have not talked to a team just casually, not even about.
Duh, that's the NFL, dog. Politics, of course, his people know some people or know certain people. We know that, Chris Sims, yeah. Yeah, we know numbers get discussed, dog. It's a business. Are you kidding me? We know it's secrets kept, homie. Of course, Justin Jefferson agent probably talked to other teams just to speculate and shoot the shit about this and that, about the numbers, dog. Duh, Chris Sims. It's the NFL. Who doesn't know that, dog? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, bro? Like, man, like y'all say one thing that makes semi-sense, then you come with this dumb narrative, homie. Oh man, bro, let's go, man. Are you kidding me, bro? Don't invest in facts, homie. Come on, man. Which team doesn't weigh their options or use all options, homie? It's not even a whole case. Oh my gosh, the whole thing was the story that was created. Like the Vikings wanted definitely to trade for Neighbors, definitely wanted to trade for Neighbors. That was the whole story. Nobody had a problem with them, even if they did accept phone calls or make phone calls. Nobody would care. The whole thing was with you, Florio. They try to deny it. And you pointed some things out about the game, ass kissing, saving face. I get that. I respect that. But what would you be doing right now, Florio? You're not standing tall. You're not standing on your statement. At least the first part of the segment, you didn't stand on your statement. Now you coming back around saying the same shit. So what is it, Florio? I must know, big dog. Whose ass are you kissing? What are you trying to clean up? You know what I'm saying? You know what are you trying to clean up, boy? Let's get this over with, man. You in the chat, like it up. I'm gonna subscribe. Hey.
Not Justin Jefferson, but like, yeah, we're not very far down the road with the Jefferson contract. And then, that, like, I mean, that stuff like that goes on all the time, let alone Justin Jefferson, who knows what coach or player he knows on another team, and he's telling people. And again, that's why I think the league was calling Minnesota. You hear rumors, you hear like things like that through the grapevine, let alone, as I've told you, right? I know teams that were like, wait.
No one cares if teams called Minnesota. Chris Sims, no one cares. No one would have cared if teams called Minnesota. So what? Nobody cares if teams called Minnesota and they answered the phone. What's the big issues? Why y'all keep saying that, bro? That's not even what the problem of the story, bro. We're talking about fake stories being created, false narratives being created, dog. Nobody care about the Vikings answering phone calls, weighing all options. What are you talking about, Chris Sims? Come on, bro. Up the cat.
This deal seems like the easiest deal in the world to get done. Well, why isn't it done? Let's call the Vikings. And
why isn't it done? Because the Vikings have to think about salary cap. You got to talk to Jess. You got to think about guaranteed money. That's why it's not done. Chris Sims, you're talking about millions of dollars, life-changing money. Two sides trying to win, trying to play fair ball. You hear me? You dig me? We talk about agents, the agent of the player being greedy potentially, trying to get the max dollar. You hear me? That's why Chris Sims. Oh, you think it's so easy because he's the best receiver in the league, arguably. So what's your point? What's your point? That's why it was all these trade talks, Chris Sims. You hear me? All these talks about trades, trying to get the best deal for the team. It's a business, like y'all been saying. It's a business, no attachments, right? It's a business, no attachment, right? Chris Sims, Florio. So that's why it took so long, though. Just like it takes long with any other star NFL player, homie. Heavy. Aaron Donald, huh? Who else? The list goes on. How many players done set out? The Neil Hunter even. What you mean, huh? It's about Guapino. It's about Guapino. Both of y'all know it's big business. Both of y'all know it's big business. I don't hear it capping, homie.
You know, so again, I don't think it's crazy, and we've been called crazy before, and we are crazy, but we have a lot of logic and knowledge of the NFL, and sometimes we're not so crazy in this department.
Let me say this. Let me say this. And
watch what steak does to your gut.
The carnivore diet. Why do people lose weight so?
Get up out of here.
One of my friends texted and asked whether or not the FCC is called for what I said earlier. Not yet. Not yet. We're not covered by the FCC. We're on satellite. We're not over the air anymore. We're over the air.
And that's it's hardly the first time that word's been said on this show. So
right. Yeah. Don't be surprised. Don't act like you listen to the show and you're surprised you heard an F-bomb. If you regularly listen to the show, you have heard them. I alluded to this, and see, one of the things I'll do from time to time, I'll know things, but I can't really report them.
Oh, yeah.
But I kind of try to make sure that
you get your point
if
across.
You're really paying attention. You know how we do things. You get the point.
Right.
I'll say this, and I don't know that I was authorized to.
If you know it, stand on it. If you know it, stand on it, then, Florio.
Report at the time. I was just being discreet about it. At some point in this process, pre-draft, the Jefferson camp believed the Vikings were, and this was the quote, playing games. That's not good. That's not good. Your most important player, and this is one of the reasons why I eventually said, hey, Ziggy, Mark, two choices. Pay the guy or trade him to a team who will.
Right.
One or the other.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think? What does everybody think playing games means, right? I mean, yeah, I mean that says a lot there too, right?
Playing games. I mean, what? What is playing games? That says a lot there too. Like playing games, how? There's different ways of playing games, homie. Were they really playing with them, like disrespecting them with the offers, or did the offers make sense? So expound on playing games, Florio, please. Expound on playing games, Florio. Yeah. It's two types of games that have could been played, maybe three, huh? You hear me? Were they playing the game of trying to, keep as much money in their pockets as possible so they can maneuver in free agency and with signing players? Or were they disrespecting him with certain numbers and offers, Florio? Since we're talking about playing games, since you knew they were playing games, you said everything else. Expound on how they were playing games, Florio. Come on, man. You kidding me, man?
And this gets back to what we were talking about earlier. I think there's enough there for us to say they deliberately waited until after the draft because they wanted to see what would happen.
Right.
Let's just see.
And
We're
we
not
never
trying to
got
trade
the
him.
offer
We're
we
not
wanted,
shopping him.
so we never really thought
Right.
about trading him, right? I mean,
That's cap. Or they're capping.
it's really can be that simple.
We never discussed it. There was never a reason to discuss it because everybody who called, and we didn't hang up the phone right away, but everybody who called put something on the table that we didn't want.
Right.
So we never discussed it. Never a consideration. They never made us a Herschel Walker offer. Not that that would be their exact quote, but the organization, even though no one connected to it has
Right.
direct experience. Herschel Walker will forever be linked to the Minnesota Vikings. So
To that point, I've had beat writers call me or text me and go, "Hey, what you said on with the show with Florio today, you guys are on the right track. I can't report this, blah, 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 but I'm letting you know that, yeah, here out in blah, blah, blah city, we're hearing the same type of thing." I mean, yes. So, that goes on as well. It's a complicated league. There's lots of tentacles, and it's a lot of politics and saving face and dealing with egos and making sure people feel comfortable and standing your ground and making sure you don't look weak as a leader. There's so many things.
All right, and that's it in a nutshell, though. That's the whole thing in a nutshell. I'm done with that. That's the whole story in a nutshell, bro. What it's about, media, whether it's Vikings media, etc. He just said it's about ego, politics, being caught in your ego, coaches, media, players, whatever, having too much pride. It's all a game. Like I'm not surprised. It's the realm, dog. You know what I'm saying? They just put it down in a nutshell. They said all that's to say this, dog. At the end of the day, what I get from that segment from Florio and Chris Sims. Florio put extra on his story. You hear me? Long story short, he thinks Minnesota Vikings beat writers, whatever, were lazy, missed the story. Then they got mad at him. They didn't want to accept it and tell the truth. He's trying to keep his relationship with O'Connell, but what is he talking about? Ass kissing. He's ass kissing right there. So Florio's not standing on nothing. He doesn't stand on nothing, dog. Can you believe his story? Did he say some stuff that made sense? Yeah. But at the end of the day, dog, you got to question Florio. You can question the Vikings. I mean, because like they said, and those two are in the game deeply. It's about saving face, dog, saving your job sometimes. It is what it is, part of the game. Politics, favoritism, ass, nut riding, all of that, dog. You hear me? But Florio was all over the place, dog. Period, bottom line. Period, bottom line, man. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. He made some sense. He made no sense, man. Like, his story changed just to say the same thing again, homie. Did the Vikings want to trade Neighbors? So what? If they did, who cares? That's the whole thing. If they did, who cares? At the end of the day, Jeddah's is signed now. But if they were weighing all options, who cares as well? Period. Everybody attacked Florio and said he was lying because the whole narrative and picture he painted. And he paints it again. He just waits until further in the segment to paint the same picture, though. He was mad at the Vikings beat writers. They threw shots at him, so he wanted to throw shots back, homie. Because he feels like he had the inside scoop, the inside story. Now, did he? Who knows, bro? He could be capping. Everybody could be capping, homie. But Florio, he was very suspect on this one. He was very suspect, homie. Now, do I believe it could be the Minnesota Vikings and some beat writers or the Minnesota Vikings staff were lying or capping or didn't want to let it out? It could be that too. Like they say, to save face, to ride nuts, not offend coaches and players, people in their ego. He just said it. So yeah, that I definitely believe that could have happened, dog. Is what it is, homie. Period, bottom line. My thing is, who gives a damn if the Vikings were weighing out all options, dog? That's what they're supposed to do, weigh out all options, especially if they can't come to a deal. It's a stalemate. What do you mean, bro? So let's stop the cap, homie. Man, that's good. What's up, Buzz? You kidding me, man? You in the chat, like it up, man. This is ridiculous, man. Wow, man. This is ridiculous, man. The things these journalists get away with, homie, the stories, all of it. Shout out Dave L, man. Florio just worried about his reputation. He don't give a about the Vikings. We would never shop in JJ. This deal has been done for a while. JJ wanted it announced on his terms. Yeah, Dave, I don't know, big dog. Is Florio a Vikings fan? Got a question, Florio. He always bashing the Vikings more times than